Try to realize that. Don't use it.
We'll have our pledge and our prayer. Matt, you want to lead us?
Yeah, absolutely. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Dear Heavenly Father, we come to you today just to give you praise and say thank you for all the department heads and city council that are here. Lord, I ask that you just be with us tonight as we make decisions that would justify anything that you want us to justify. Lord, thank you again for sending your son as a rescue mission, on a rescue mission to save us all, so we could all be here to do your work. And in the Lord's name I pray, amen.
Amen.
Amen. We'll just follow our agenda, right down the agenda tonight. And, so, Carol?
Alderman Duggar.
Here.
Alderman Stark.
Here.
Alderman Lindsay.
Here.
Alderman McCormick.
Here.
Alderman Lightfoot.
Here.
Alderman McLean. Here. We have a quorum. First in the packet was Beebe Water and Sewer Financials. Tommy's here. There he is. Do you have any questions?
Motion to accept the water and sewer financials.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to accept the financials for Beebe Water and Sewer. All those opposed? All those in favor? Sorry.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Hey, you said, but we were paying attention.
Well, you were.
We were
Thank
on
you.
it.
The next is the minutes from the planning and zoning. James? They were in their packet.
Yes.
Yeah.
Any questions for Mr. James, or?
Motion to accept the minutes.
Second.
Have a motion and second to accept the minutes of planning and zoning of May the 5th, 2026. All those in favor? Any opposed?
On the planning and zoning, while we're here, I did send out an email, I think I copied you all on it, in the Hidden Valley Phase 6 about where they want to come into the city or stay out of the city, and I tried to communicate this morning through a phone call, but the service was bad, he didn't get back with me, but it's definitely whatever the property owner's decision is, whether they'll bring it in or not, it'll be up to the property owner.
Does someone staying out of the city, does that affect the phase? I know will it affect the phases behind that, correct?
Yes, it's the last phase that's of Hidden Valley. And he sent an email that said, to the effect, what if we want to leave it out of the city? And I
Right.
responded that it would be definitely up to the property owner. However, it could affect the remaining entire subdivision there'll be no zoning codes out there, so it would be the same as the county has no zoning codes. So, you know, if someone wanted to run a business out of the house, if they wanted to have unsightliness, that the rates could differ for sewer, the rates could differ for water, they're gonna differ for garbage.
The only thing I think we should take in
Police
consideration,
protection.
right? The only thing that I think that we should take in consideration, and I mean, I know we don't have to make a decision tonight, now, but if I live in the city, I might live in the city for a reason, and I don't want my next door neighbor to not have the same regulations that I have. I don't want to live next to somebody who has 8 cars and 6 boats in their driveway. I'm just saying, at what point do the other citizens in that subdivision take precedence? That's all. I just think it's something we should think about.
You know, with possibly no bill of assurance in that area, but that's strictly, it's gonna be up to the property owner whether or not he petitions the city
Right.
to bring it in. So I actually believe they probably will, given all the considerations of the surrounding neighborhoods. I think they probably will.
All right. We're ready to go on?
Yes.
Okay. Clerk Treasurer's Office, you have the minutes of June 22nd in your packet.
Motion to approve.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to approve the minutes of June 22nd, 2026. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Also, the financial statement was in the paper, in your packet.
Motion to approve.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to approve the financial statement for the city of Beebe. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, on your, I'm sorry, apparently this month was not a good month for me. On the agenda, it said RDOT check. That is incorrect. The actual correct invoice was in your packet. It's White's Paving. We ended up doing Ballpark Road, and that wasn't in the original set of invoices that you approved for us. You got anything to say?
Yeah, in the last meeting, we had a list and inadvertently left that one off of that, so, we need to get approval for that section of road pavement.
Make a motion, we approve check number 14696 for 2,795, nope. Yeah,
27.
27,950 payable to White's Paving.
Second.
I have a motion, a second, to approve the check to White's Paving for $27,950, and that check is 14696, payable out of the street fund. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Then we have an asset item. This one has kind of gone back and forth. It was at the street, then it went to park, and now it's going back to the street. It's a bad boy mower. And we're just gonna transfer it back to the street. They need it more, so.
You just need a motion to transfer the asset? So moved.
Second.
I have a motion, a second, to transfer the bad board mower, asset number 08275, from the parks back to the street department. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Mr. Mayor, that's all I have.
Okay, we have discussion on something that's new to the city. It's the municipal improvement district. And our city attorney, Randy Grice, is here, and as is LaRush Holdings, Select Childress is here. And so, one of you guys want to take the floor first? Okay.
Good afternoon. I appreciate you all letting me come here and speak. I do have a couple items for you if you want them. I don't know what all was included in your packet, but I've got the petition I filed along with the statute and the plat map. Do y'all want that?
They've
We got
received
it, we
that.
have it.
Got it, okay. So, my name is Selleck Childress. I'm an attorney out of Saline County. I'm here on Wynwood Meadows. And what we're asking for today is an ordinance to lay off the land for a special improvement district. I realize this is kind of the first time a special improvement district's been done in the city of Beebe. So I want to try to answer any questions I can and try to help y'all understand what these do and what the purpose is and kind of what your role is as city council. So in a nutshell, this special improvement district should be treated as any other subdivision. There's not going to be anything special on the city's end or anything else like that. This is a statutory provision that allows for developers to lay off a certain amount of land to assess a property tax in that land that helps with development. The city's role in this is to pass an ordinance, okay? And by the statute, it says that as long as all the owners petitioning are the property owners and there's no property owners here to contest it, that the city council shall pass an ordinance laying off the land. So I want to help answer any questions y'all have because there's lots of ins and outs to this that I could go into, but I think y'all's specific questions maybe. Yes, ma'am.
Is this a common thing, like in Benton and Bryant and?
It is a common thing in Saline County. It's not that common across the state. So I just did the first two in Lonoke County. I did one in the city of Ward, and I did one in the county of Lonoke, and then I've handled quite a few in Saline County. I think the last statistic I saw was Saline County had about 75% of the state's improvement districts. So it's a very common thing. There's a big kind of transition into doing more of these. But most places have never heard of them. There's not any training on them. So I'm trying my best to answer any questions I have. And as an attorney, we first go to a statute, and then we go to case law to interpret that statute. Well, improvement districts haven't been litigated because there hadn't been enough problems for them, I guess. And so I really have a statute and a handful of cases to go off that don't really help much on the interpretation, so.
So how long have they been active? When was the first one?
I do not know that. I do know that they have been going on over 30 years because I know that most of the bonds that I do on these are 30-year bonds, and there has been subdivisions in Saline County that have paid those bonds off, or districts that have paid those bonds off. So I know at least 30 years they've done them, but like an example is I think in Saline County I just did number 144 for the county. So the county has different numbering than the city has. So there's been 144 in this county of Saline.
So the people that live in these districts will have a state tax, a county tax, a city tax, and an improvement district tax.
Yes, ma'am. They will have a special improvement district tax that will come on their property tax record. And it's supposed to be disclosed to them at closing or by the real estate agent, or, you know, it's usually not a secret that a subdivision is under that district. And, you know, the assessments can range all across the board. And I don't know what the assessment for this neighborhood in particular will be because we haven't got to that point to have final plat on exactly lots and everything because it's assessed per lot. So, you know, I've seen them range from around $100 a year all the way up to probably $400 to $500 a year, and
So-
kind of all in between.
So basically, what this is, it's just putting the burden on the homeowners as far as taxes, instead of it being on the construction.
In a nutshell, yes. I look at it a different way. I look at it removing the burden from the developer on the initial front costs and allowing a third party, because these bonds are issued to the open market. So a bank can buy this bond and then get paid back by the property owners over 30 years. So it's a way to develop a nice neighborhood and not have as much upfront cost on the developer, and allow to spread that that development cost across all the homeowners for a period of usually 30 years.
So if, the homeowner goes out there and buys a parcel of land, do you think they're gonna wanna pay more taxes?
I wouldn't, but sometimes people, because I like to look at these as kind of, they're not the same, so don't lump them in, but like a property owners association. In theory, it's a very similar tool. It's a funding mechanism for development in that subdivision, or maintenance of development in that subdivision. So it goes hand in hand. The reason we do a special improvement district a lot of times over a property owners association is because, one, a special improvement district has a lot more teeth because it is assessed through your property taxes. So you're a second lien holder to the federal government. So it's a little bit more of a secure financial investment for whoever buys the bond. And it also has a little bit of more legalities involved and a little bit easier to handle things and collect money than a property owner association is.
And the extra tax money is sent back to the developer to repay the bond?
It is sent actually to the bond holder.
So the tax money goes straight to the bond holder to
And-
repay the bond that a developer took out to build the district?
Yes,
So it's a loan that the residents are paying for?
in a nutshell,
Okay. It's a loan that the residents are paying for?
yes.
So it's basically going back to where the
Hey.
construction company make more money,
I'm sorry.
Right.
where the construction company can make more money and lay it off on the homeowners.
I don't look at it as in
Pay for
making more
cost.
money, but out less cost on the front end.
Out less cost.
And it
They don't
allows
have
them,
to
it allows them maybe to do more developments, or allow them to do a nicer development or something of that nature, depending on what they plan to do with it.
And the buyer will know up front, hey, this is the cost. I can choose to live here, or I can move to over here where I don't have that cost, so.
Now, I don't want to speak for someone else, but they should be disclosed. It should be in their disclosure documents, and if I was a real estate agent, I would inform them before showing them a lot or a house that this is in a special improvement district. But it is disclosed.
So if somebody builds a house there, and they turn around, and they sell the house, they move out and sell it. It rolls over to whoever buys the house.
Yes, sir, it's tied to the land. You can pay it off early and have a redemption deed, taking that bond, taking your lot, your section out of that bond. You can pay it off early. Now, Most people don't unless that's the house you're gonna live in forever.
Is there a floodplain for this? Because I don't know if you're aware of the area that you're wanting to do this, and that area is notorious for flooding.
Well, the development will have to meet all city code and guidelines. So before anything gets approved, they'll have to meet all the guidelines anyways.
This doesn't change any of the regulation that the city or the county puts on the developer. That doesn't change any of it. All the reason it has a legal description attached is just to show the boundary of what the special improvement district is. So a lot of times I'll do these for very big developments. We'll do, a 300-acre tract, we'll do a special improvement district, and then we'll break it up into phases. So they can come in front of y'all one time, get the whole plot approved, and then each phase will have its own assessed value per lot, depending on how many lots and what infrastructure they put in and whatnot there. There's something I was gonna say about.
Does the developer usually put in some common area and they upkeep that, or no?
It all depends on the development. I've had some that put in playgrounds and ponds. I've had others that use it, that may do a lesser bond just to maintain roads or maintain curb and gutter, So it really depends on the specific subdivision and the developer's plan with that. And kind of the reason why we do these special improvement districts maybe prior to full approval from the city or anything is because these take quite a bit of time to do. So a lot of times we want to make sure we have the district established, and then they can get their final plat approved and everything, and then we can do the assessment of benefits on actually how many lots will be in that subdivision.
Thank you.
Who actually controls the maintenance and upkeep of, say, the streets and all that stuff if it's never dedicated to the city?
So this is just like a normal neighborhood. The streets will be dedicated to the city if the city wants them. And then when it comes to the maintenance of everything there, the commissioners working as a district, there'll be commissioners elected in my petition, and then you also have my documents that I provide in the special improvement district closing have a policy for removal, for filling vacancies, for the next board that comes in. Because most of the time we make the developer the initial board, and then once homes start getting sold, we want kind of like a properties owners association. We want the residents being in control over the commission. Sometimes developer retains control if it's a multi-phase project. But that money is collected through the county clerk's office, and then the maintenance and repair and everything, like I said, is on the district shoulders for that.
So we had a little discussion earlier, and again, as I told you, I have not run across or had to deal with these in the past, but while city attorney here, nor as city attorney in Lone Oak previously, or in association with other cities I've dealt with. And the one issue that, and we had the conversation, is again, what happens afterwards? And the question is about the dedication of the streets. What if the city says we won't accept that? Is that going to be borne through that money that is being brought in through this? If the city says yes, we will accept dedication of the streets, what improvements are left to be made with that money?
And I don't know right now, because we don't have the development, we don't have, the final plat where we know exactly what all we're gonna use that on. In the event that the city wouldn't take the roads, it would be a situation where maybe the bond amount would have to be increased or decreased depending on the circumstances. And unfortunately, I don't handle any of the bond assessments. There's a CPA that handles all of those, so I'm not the money guy or the number guy today. But depending on everything they do, that's how the bond is kind of assessed. We've done some that were 400 house neighborhoods that were going to have all these common areas, and that bond was much higher. Then I did a little, 12 house neighborhood. That bond was much less, and that was a newer developer trying to, get his feet wet and kind of not stick his neck out too much. So, great questions. I don't know a lot of answers off the front end until we get a little further into the process and we can see actually what that money will and can be used for.
And again, understand, it's just a question of it being, as you said, and as I've said, I've looked at the statutes, I've looked at the case law, and there's not a lot of guidance beyond what is in that statute. And it's pretty generic in it. And So I understand those issues. I anticipate the questions that are gonna come to me regarding it. And so that's the reason I reached out to you to have some discussions with it and wanted to say, look, I know these are the questions gonna be asked. They've asked all the questions I told you were gonna be asked. And so there's just some of those answers that we're gonna need to know. I think when I say we, they're gonna wanna know the answers to on that.
And if it puts your mind at ease at all, now, take it with a grain of salt, the CPA that he kind of got me on board doing these improvement districts, and he's been doing them for many, many years, 30-plus years, and he has not had one district that resulted in any sort of legal battle or significance or anything like that. If you ever do some research on these, there are some sewage districts. So there's also special improvement sewage districts in some other towns that have had some problems. But we're not asking for a sewage district today, and I don't handle those because they are very complex. So as far as the special improvement districts are concerned, there's not really anything to go off because they haven't been litigated.
So you've done them in Saline County. What cities have you done them in there?
We've done them in Benton, Haskell, Bryant, a lot in the county. I've also done them in Ward, Lonoke County, and then we did one in Traskwood. I think maybe one in Little Rock.
Who did you deal with the cities there primarily?
Primarily, it was the city attorney.
Okay.
And really, it was, I'm good friends.
I'll get with you, because I'd like to reach out to them and have some conversations and see what issues they have, because again, all this goes back to, I know this body is gonna have questions about it. Again, I think it's kind of a straightforward statute about what happens, but when this gets done, and when the city says, yeah, we're gonna do it, and then when eventually the subdivision gets approved and built and everything, and things start happening, then all of a sudden, something doesn't go the way somebody wants, or they're not sure, these are the people who are gonna get, whose phones are gonna be ringing, and they're gonna want to know some answers. So, yeah, I'll get with you, and I'll get the names of the attorneys you dealt with there, so I can call them and say, hey, did you have this issue, how'd that happen, and we can.
Our county judge is sharp in it, because we do a lot in this county. The city, not as many, but the county, we do a lot more there. But I can get you in touch with
Sure,
them.
great. Well, and since the cities have the stricter zoning ordinances and requirements, I think that's where most of our concerns are gonna be coming in, or most of their concerns are gonna be coming into this. So I'll be happy to get the names of who you dealt with there, and I'll talk to them, and hopefully that'll ease some minds on this.
And I can leave a business card with anybody that wants to ask more questions. I'm more than happy to do so.
What is the timeline that you're talking about in proceeding with this improvement district?
So, on my end, most of the time the developers want as quick as possible. So I'm trying to think all my timelines in my head. I think for a city improvement district, it takes me roughly like 4 months to get everything done if there's no hiccups. But as far as once getting the initial stuff done, like this petition and getting the ordinance issued, at that point I can go as fast or as slow as the developer wants. Because I have some publications that I have to do, but then after that, we want to make sure that we get the assessment of benefits that's filed by the CPA. He's got to get with the developer, see what they're actually going to do, what they're approved for. If we're going to have to move lots, change lots, whatever, we got to get that nailed down before we can proceed on any sort of the bond paperwork.
Explain the petition procedure to us.
The procedure?
Yeah.
The petition, the procedure is that we file it with the statute's not clear. I file it with the city and the county because the county has to have record of it because they're the ones going to collect the money. Now, most of the time, you can ask 10 attorneys, they'll get 10 different answers. Most of the time, they only file with the city. I don't like that, but pretty much what it is, we file that petition along with the abstract certificate, which shows the property ownership. And then I think the statute says that the city clerk is supposed to provide it to the mayor, and then they're supposed to set a time for an ordinance meeting and then, or for a city council meeting to determine if the petitioners in this petition are the record owners of the property. And we're supposed to address if any of the owners of that property are here to object. So most of the time we set these districts up when the developers own them only, because it just less conflict, and less people to get approval from. So most of the time the developer owns all the property. We have to give notice to the lien holder. In this situation, there is no lien holder, so there's no one here to contest that, because the mortgage company will take whatever loan they have on the land subject to the improvement district. So a lot of times they will either want to be here and hear what's to say, or that most of them don't care, because we do so many of them in Saline County. In my experience, they usually don't mind.
So what is your timeline for this hearing before the governing body to determine this procedure is correct?
I would love for it to be today, but I don't think that's going to happen. So I would just ask for the next available city council meeting that we get approval and get the ordinance laid off. And at that hearing, I would ask that it be passed as an emergency so that it can go in effect immediately instead of in another 30 days. But I mean, if I could get it approved today, I'd be tickled pink. But if not, I'll be back.
So what it boils down to is the developers do not have the funds to do this, and this is the only way that they can get the funds to do this subdivision. Is
More or less, that's a legislative intent.
So in your petition, you say that the purpose of this petition is for constructing waterworks, sewers, recreational facilities, system of gas pipelines, grading, draining, paving, curbing, guttering, and sidewalks together with facilities related to. It's kind of a blanket.
Yes, sir, and it is, because at this point right now, the development's not far enough along for us to know exactly what they're gonna do. So I try to put all the statutory language I can in there to encompass, hey, we can use this money for anything in this subdivision we have to do.
So you said the fee could be assessed at $200 to $400, but it could be $1,000.
Yes, or it could be $10.
I mean, if it's 24 lots and it costs $750 to $1 million to develop it, and, I mean, simple math, if this is to pay back over a bond period of 20 to 30 years, then you're assessing each lot for $1,000 a year.
And it's not always the full cost of development. It could be a portion of development. It's more or less, and I'm not on this conversation when they assess it. So I don't know exactly what all goes into that. But I will say that I've never seen one over, I think the most I've ever seen was like $450. And that was a pretty big project. Most of them float between 100 and 200.
But we don't know that. The commissioners will determine all that later
Yes, sir.
as to what they're going to assess the property owners.
Yes, sir.
So just on the little bit of research I did on it, which I did some research on it because I had no idea what it was pertaining to. It did say that we could lose a little bit of our zoning and developmental codes. Is that right?
I'm not aware of that. If you tell me where you're finding that, I'll do some research into it. But I have never seen that come up at all.
Okay, so all the city codes will be followed, and they're not looking to rezone it to apartment buildings or anything like that?
No, sir. This is not a zoning or anything applicable to that. Pretty much all this is just establishing a boundary around a potential subdivision and saying this property right here is considered a special improvement district. And then everything else is just assessing the amount per lot, depends on how many lots there are. So it doesn't change planning and zoning, it doesn't change any of the fire codes, nothing like that, to my knowledge. Now, there are some special districts, like a sewage district, there's some fire districts and water districts and things like that may have an impact on something, but that is not what this is today. And I don't do any of those, so I do not know.
So what happens if there's not enough lots sold to make it worth their while? Does it revert back, or?
They owe amount of money to whoever bought that bond.
The developer can hold the bonds, right?
Developer can't hold the bond. Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. Kind of depends on the project. We have a family in town in Saline County that buys up almost all of them. So they're usually Usually give them a call and they'll buy pretty much any bond you got.
Randy, you have anything else? So if we have questions between now and the next
Yes.
August meeting, we'll refer them.
Yes, sir.
I will reach out to the city attorneys that he's dealt with in other cities and see what their experience is with it, so we'll have a better idea.
But,
Yeah.
I mean, if they don't meet city guidelines, then we don't have to accept it. I mean, it's no different than any
Maybe you
other.
can refer that question to that gentleman.
So if they do not meet the city guidelines, we just don't have to accept it. We do not have to accept those plats or anything like that. It
The
just,
plat stuff, y'all get to make your decision based on y'all's rules. As far as the improvement district's concerned, and the way the statute reads is if we meet our rules, the board shall.
okay, whose rules?
If we
If
meet
we-
the rules in the statute. That, when I meant rules, I mean, if we meet the statutory requirements, then the board shall, is the terminology in the statute. But as far as planning and zoning and all that, that is all subject to the developer and y'all's approval of that. That has no bearing on the special improvement, well, it does have a bearing in the longevity, but as far as whether I can establish a district, whether they've met planning and zoning or not, it's two separate hoops.
Right, I just want my goal is to make sure that whatever roads, drainage, whatever those guidelines are, that they meet city code.
Absolutely. And this is
And
my
then
fault.
after that, the cost to do those things, to get it to those standards, that cost, which the builder builds to those standards, he's just gonna share a little bit of those costs with the people that buy these homes.
Yes, sir. Yep.
I mean, if you wanna buy a home and pay for improvements, and then the negligence, if it doesn't sell, I mean, all that falls on the builder, right? It won't fall on the city, I mean, it falls on them.
Actually, it
There's
can
no
fall on the
liability on
builder,
this.
but if it's vacated, then it could come back, if it ceased to exist, it can come back to the city where you appoint new commissioners and carry on, is that correct?
I do believe that. I have to go back and look at my notes on the process when commissioners do something like that, but.
Could this be a situation like someone goes bankrupt and then we get stuck with the land, like,
No, you won't actually get stuck with the land. You'll appoint new commissioners to carry on with it, and it could even be somebody from the city. But, in fact,
but the,
you could end up with a subdivision, and I'm not saying that would happen, but you could end up with a subdivision that was stagnant, not completed, and then the surrounding neighborhoods are gonna lean on the city to do something about it.
Right.
That's only where we would come in.
right, but financial burdens are not gonna fall on any other citizen.
No, it's not
Except
gonna
for the-
fall on.
No, sir. And another thing to tell you is, you'll know pretty quick whether it's gonna work out or not, because the bond payments start when we issue the bond. So not when they start building houses. When we issue that bond payments are due the following year. So it's very advantageous for the developer to have people in homes in under a year.
So if you had 24 lots and you had an assessment on it, that is divided equally among the property owners, and if the property owners is only one person, then that fee is still assessed against that person throughout the time after the passage of this until the lots are sold.
I believe, yes. I think I followed you on your question. Because what we have sometimes is somebody will move into an improvement district and they'll be like, okay, I got 5 years left on the bond, it's $3,000. So they'll write a check for $3,000, then they don't have to pay the bond anymore. Their assessment on their property tax. They paid off, we file a redemption deed, they're clear. Everybody else in the neighborhood that hadn't paid theirs off is still paying that yearly fee.
So let me ask you this question. So, again, unlike the homeowners association where it's up to the homeowners association to assess and collect, and then they have to go through their whole process when somebody doesn't pay, et cetera, and it could hold up some of their improvements. With these being collected by the county, and are they collected as property tax?
They're collected as a special improvement
So,
district.
what I'm asking is, so if I don't pay my property tax, I don't get my tags renewed. And so there's incentive for me to make sure that gets done. Is that?
Yes,
What-
yes, sir.
okay.
And that is why it's so advantageous for investors to come in and buy these bonds, because they're very secure. Because you'll lose your house if you don't pay the bond.
So wait till next month. We'll find out.
Y'all
Table it.
have some more questions?
I'm good.
Thank you.
I guess we'll have it on the agenda in August.
Okay, what's the date of that, August?
Be the fourth Monday.
Fourth
The
Monday?
fourth Monday.
And would y'all like me to bring a proposed ordinance, or do you have a, will y'all
Yes.
do your own? Okay. I've got one ready for you, I'll drop off with you. So,
I can answer that question, not being familiar with these because there's so few out there, not having dealt with them, I would be digging to find one anyway, so if you've got one, if you will get it.
you share it wherever you want, I can bring more next time.
All right, I'll look it through, there you go.
Thank y'all.
Thank you.
Back to you, Carol.
All right, we just have one more thing. We have a bid opening. You want to talk about this?
As I called most of you, I think the only one I couldn't get hold of was Nathan. And we're talking about selling the 95 Ford brush truck. So we put it out for bids. I think we only received one bid. So we're gonna open that tonight, and I guess that person will win the bid. Any
Was there a
questions?
minimal, was there a minimal on the bid? A minimum amount?
No.
Rick, you want me to open it?
Sure.
All right. The bid for the fire truck is the 1995 F-350 brush truck, and Tri-Communities submits a bid of $9,500.
Motion to accept the bid.
Second.
Do
think
you
that's
feel
very-
like that's a fair,
That's a very fair bid because
Yes.
the unit, the pump unit in the back of the truck is probably worth more than the truck.
Okay. That's what I was.
This was the truck pickup that went through the tornado. Had to have a
Yes.
new cab, and bed was removed, finally made a brush truck, and so
Yeah.
it's not being used.
So you feel good about, you feel good about the price? You feel good about the price?
Oh, yeah, I think the price is very fair.
All right, I have a motion and a second to accept the bid from Tri-County for $9,500 for the 1995 F-350 brush truck. Since it is a bid opening, I'm gonna call the roll. Alderman Duggar,
Yes.
Alderman Stark,
Yes.
Alderman Lindsay,
Yes.
Alderman McCormick,
Yes.
Alderman Lightfoot,
yes.
Alderman McLean.
Yes.
Okay, that passes. And that's all we got, sir.
Anybody have anything else to discuss tonight?
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Thank
Always
you.
confused when we don't have to vote on that.